In a gacha game, it's all about making the right strategic decisions. But in order to know what's right, well, you need information, and that's where I come in. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, my name is Hako. Now in this video, I'm gonna give you my 10 best tips to succeed in Chaos Zero Nightmare. I'll do them step by step, and there will be timestamps to all of them. Let's get going. Also, I'll take myself away because I'm just gonna be in the way. Now, for number 1, this is like a very general gacha tip, and it is don't spread yourself too thin. When you start off a gacha, you're gonna feel like the king of the world. You're gonna feel like you can level every character and, you just go ham because it barely costs anything. The thing is, the investment cost of character, they rise exponentially the higher up you get. So if you treat yourself like you're the king in the beginning of the game and you level up every single character that you have, well, when you get to the next threshold so that you can start leveling up characters again, well, then you'll find yourself severely out of resources. So what I would advise that you do is that you focus on first one decent team that makes a little bit of sense, and then a second one, and then you focus on building them up, making sure that their needs are met, and when you hit the next threshold so you can level them further, well, that you've already had the resources to go further. Of course, you don't need to listen to me, but this is one of the best ways to make sure that you get as much rewards out of the endgame modes as possible, and you're also being able to clear them. Now, for number 2, spend energy, but spend it wisely. So, this is a gacha game, and it has a time-keeping mechanic in form of energy. It will refill with time, and once you're capped out, well, you're kinda just wasting energy by the minute. So what you want to make sure that you do is that you spend the energy so that you're not capped out. And now we kind of tie in back to the first point. What should you spend your energy on? Well, spend your energy on the things you need to level up your core characters. For example, my characters can now go to 50, and Veronica is one of the best characters in the game, so it would be as smart to me to spend my energy on getting the books needed to level her up further. Now, I would say that there isn't too much bad you can spend your energy on, except one thing. Now, just as with most features in this game, this is not unlocked from the start, but once you reach a certain level, you will get memory fragment farming. Now, this is your usual gear if you're used to, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Wave, etc. And just like in those games, I would advise you to never ever spend a single point of energy before you can guarantee that you will get the legendary rarity of them. Because any energy you spend on materials to level up characters, that's always going to be valuable to level up those characters. But when you reach endgame and when you reach level 60 on your characters, you're never going to be finding yourself actually using the green and the blue gear, for example. So I would recommend holding off until that you are Admiral level 40 and that you can challenge the difficulty 5. With difficulty 5, there will at least be a chance that it is legendary items, and the chance for that goes up the more difficulties we climb. So make sure not to overcap on energy and spend it on things that actually give you the best investment. So make sure that you spend your energy and that you're not overcapping. It is one of your most valuable resources. And even if you cannot level up your characters further, always be on the lookout for what they need for the next time that they level up is a smart option. For example, my Melin is now level 50, and it's gonna be a long while before she can get to 60, but if I don't have anything else to spend my energy on, pre-farming these premium strike manuals is a wise way to spend my energy. Now, for number 3, do your dailies and do your weeklies. This little icon up here, if we click it, we can see that we have an achievement schedule. These are your dailies and they're quite easy to get done. And if you're just starting out, doing your growth guide is also an excellent way to progressing through the game. Most of the missions will kind of guide you in the right direction and give you a sense of what you actually should be doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, I also said do your weeklies, and we have a couple of weeklies. One can be found in simulation, and this gets unlocked kinda late, so you won't be worrying about this your first days of playing, but here we can find challenges. 3 times a week we can challenge this thing, and we get some sweet rewards for doing so. This is part of your weeklies, and you want to always make sure that you do it. Another thing correlating to your weeklies can be found in Chaos. Now, the Chaos can be farmed endlessly, but when you defeat a final boss of a level, you can spend a resource to claim rewards for doing that. And the resource we use for that is called Loot Certification Card. We get 4 every week, so make sure that you always claim all 4 of these every week. The higher difficulty that you do it on, the better rewards you will get. And as a bonus tips for any commander that is still leveling up, If you know that you're gonna hit like a new big level threshold like before the week is over, it might be wise to hold off like doing your simulation challenges or doing your chaos until you reach the next difficulty level, so for that week you'll get even better rewards. Now for number 4, remove cards is actually kinda OP. When you're out on a mission in the chaos, you will have the option to remove cards if you go to a campsite that has a shop, and quite often you will get it as a reward for doing certain events. Now, depending on circumstances, there might be better options to pick, but remove cards is actually really good, and not only if you manage to accumulate curse cards in the deck. Certain characters, take Mika for example, she's an excellent Gundam character, but in reality, her water arrow and her whirlpool is not cards that we actually want to use a card draw to pull, because that's not Mika's place in a team. So a lot of characters, they will get a lot stronger if you take away some of their bad cards. Take this save data for example, you see that I've removed everything I don't want on Mika and replaced it with some good things. Don't mind the atomic decomposition, I didn't have time to get it out before I was done. Another good option would be Amir and her rapier. They're kinda bad cards and you're much better off just taking them away. So don't underestimate the remove card functions, it will significantly power up a lot of your characters. Now for number 5, one of the absolute best ways to get stronger in this game is by doing different chaos runs. After you've done a run, you will be able to save whatever power-ups you've managed to get on a character. All of the cards and all of the gear that you managed to accumulate, they will be saved and you can use that in a lot of other game modes. Now what I found to be the best way to actually get a really good character is that instead of going into this focusing on making all 3 of these fantastic and be the best version they can be, instead maybe choose oh, this run I'm gonna be focusing on Amir, or I am gonna be focusing on Magna. So for example, if you find really good gear and stuff, make sure to prioritize Magna so that she is built out, kitted out and upgrade her cards, etc. To do everything you can to get one good save with her, because that will give you a much higher chance of actually getting a absolutely broken Magna compared to trying to get all 3 of your characters kitted out. Then instead of having one amazing build you can use always, you might get 3 kinda good and decent ones. But I would instead say focus one character, then focus the next, and then focus the next, and then overall you will have much stronger characters. Now number 6, team building. If you want to succeed in Chaos Zero Nightmare, well, you better learn a little bit of team building and what characters complement each other. I have a full video going through what exactly every character does and what they pair with. Link to that is in the description. But the basic principle of team building is you want someone to do damage or 2 people to do damage and then someone that keeps you alive. Mika is a very good option that fits into any team and does the keeping you alive part very good. And an extremely standard team build is having a DPS, a support and then a survival unit. Team number 2, my Mei-Lin team, is one of the strongest teams in the game. Mei-Lin is a main DPS and she's absolutely cracked. And Selena, she is beyond broken as a support for Mei-Lin. And Mika's here to keep everybody alive. Now, just to be clear, I would also fully recommend you to experiment with unorthodox non-meta teams as well. One of my absolute favorite teams is a team just like that. If you see Magna, Amir and Mika. This team is kind of my go-to team and it is one of my absolute strongest one. Now, you might think this team is, it doesn't have any damage whatsoever, but you would be surprised what Amir and Magna does paired up together. And there are quite a lot of kind of niche variations like this that maybe on paper shouldn't work, but it actually is really good and it is really fun. But for example, my team 5, if your team is looking like this and you can't get through content, well, it is because you're lacking survival unit and the teammates don't really synergize with each other. And if you're just starting out and you're pulling your hair, you don't have enough characters to make a good team, I'm here to tell you, yes you do. Look at the last team, free-to-play God team. This is the natural team from Genshin. We get all of these characters from the tutorial and it is absolutely freaking broken, I tell you. A lot of the times, just because a character is free, we tend to scoff at them and think that they are bad. Well, not in Chaos Zero Nightmare, because these characters will carry you so far into the game until you actually pick up some decent other 5-star units. So don't sleep on these free if you are struggling. Number 7, enemy intention. So, an enemy will tell you kind of what it's about to do, and it's up to you to act accordingly and react to whatever they are planning to do. If an enemy is planning to hit you with a really hard attack, you will see it on your own HP, because the game will kind of calculate how much damage this is gonna do, like if you just leave things be as they are now. So for example, if your health bar is not flashing red in the least, spending your AP on putting on shields for that turn might be very wasted, and instead there might be better cards to play. Shield only lasts for one turn, base kit there are some things that lets you keep it, but for the most part your shield will be gone after one run has passed, so if you put on shields and you don't get a hit, well, that shield just ends up being wasted. And the enemies will also have an AP count. Now this is seen to the left of their health bar, and every time you play a card, it will count down. Once it reaches 0, the enemy will act. So if you're planning to put on a bunch of shields or counterattacks, make sure that you do it before the enemies reaches 0, because if you do it afterwards, well, they're not gonna attack a second time and that shield is gonna end up being wasted. Certain cards will increase the AP count of an enemy, allowing you to do more stuff before they actually get to act. And also if you break an enemy's tenacity, well, their AP count also goes up by 1. And in addition to slowing down the enemy's AP, breaking an enemy also alleviates stress for the character that breaks the enemy, and you will also get 1 AP every time you break an enemy. So use that knowledge to your advantage. If you're at 1 AP but you have 2 1-cost cards in the hand, if one of them breaks the enemy, well, you can play both of them. Now for number 8, what to spend our crystals on. Crystals are the main reward for doing most activities in the game, and it is our tickets to do the pulls. Now there are a bunch of things to spend the crystals on in the game, but what should we spend it on? Well, I would say number 1, on the limited character banner. Maybe not on this one, because Haru is not bad, but she's not the greatest either. So as of right now, time of recording, if you sat with a bunch of crystals, I would perhaps just tell you to hold fire and see what the next upcoming character is. You could also spend it on the limited partner banner, and important to note here is that usually the partner will correlate to whatever limited character is on the banner. So Asteria, for example, it is a good card, but it is exceptionally good on Haru, and maybe not as good on a lot of other characters. So I would say maybe not go for the partner card if you don't have the limited card, and I've never done a pull on this, so let's do it. So don't do as I do as I say instead. Or darn it, never lucky. Now what you can do instead is spend your hard-earned crystals on the combat rescue, which is kinda the standard banner. Now, you might be used to a lot of other gacha games where the standard banner is pure dog shit. In Chaos Zero Nightmare, the standard banner characters are actually really good. Not you, but a lot of other characters are really fantastic. What I would, however, advise is to spend your crystals on the limited banner, and if it's a character you don't care about, well, wait for the next one. And just by playing and leveling up, you will get so many pulls to use on the standard banner anyway. You can also use your crystals on the standard partner rescue banner, and I would advise only considering doing this if you've got a large amount of standard banner characters already, and what you're really lacking is partners. And finally, we have the last little gacha where you spend prism lenses. Now, these don't do too much. You can pick whatever character you want to get a prism for. If you manage to pull it, you can apply like a nice fancy effect to one of their cards. I managed to get one from Magna, so let me show you how it looks. The card will come alive and it won't be static anymore, and it looks kinda dope. I don't think it even is something you can spend money on, but I've seen people wondering like what the hell it is, so I thought let's talk about it. Now for number 9, balance your deck cost. So in combat, your most valuable commodity is your AP. Now preferably we construct a deck that has like a good variety of 0 costs, 1 cost and 2 costs. We don't want only 2 costs, and we don't want only 0 costs in the entire deck either, because you don't want to be sat there like kinda washing away free like 2 to 3 AP every turn, because that means that you made a too cheap deck. And usually making cards cheaper mean that you also made them worse to more justify the cost. And I've done this. It is so easy to do to like always go for the cost reduction, but yeah, then you're sitting there and just wasting a bunch of AP every turn. So it's better to make some cards cheaper, but maybe in some cases make some cards more expensive. So take my Magna for example. If we go to, is it this same data? Yes, so her Glacial Iron Fist usually costs 2. I managed to, this run when I ran her, I upgraded it to 3, and it became absolutely crazy, and it also allows shields to stay for 1 turn more, and this is a game changer, and after having tried out the free cost of it, it's gonna be the only thing I run from now on, I think. So don't make your deck too cheap, but don't make it too expensive either, make it just perfect. And that's obviously gonna take some luck and some trial and error. Certain characters, they are more hungry for AP than others. And if your team includes Mika, well, you can afford to be more expensive in your deck because she's very good at like giving back AP. Now, just like Darkest Dungeon, the stress can often be your downfall and it is what makes you lose a run. Your characters will primarily get stress whenever they take damage. The greater damage received, the greater the stress inflicted. So how do we manage stress? Well, one of the best things to do is to bring a good shielder. If an attack gets completely absorbed by a shield, it does not inflict any extra stress on the party. Healing skills will also reduce some stress, and there's also some card epiphanies that will also reduce stress on card use. And if the stress maxes out, well, we will have a mental breakdown. When stress reaches a critical point, the combatant will experience a mental breakdown, and your team will lose a significant portion of max health. The combatant experiencing the breakdown will have their cards changed to breakdown cards and will not be able to use their ego skills, their ultimates. So how do we get out of breakdown? Well, to recover from the breakdown state, you must use 5 breakdown cards. Each consecutive breakdown will increase the required number of breakdown cards needed to be used by 1. Now, the breakdown cards are interesting. When you use them, they have a big chance to not do anything, they have a small chance to instantly hit, get you out of the breakdown, and they also have a certain chance of damaging your party or making your cards more expensive. Now, in a chaos run on high difficulty, you want to really avoid breaking down, but it is gonna be inevitable that you do it a couple of times, but we want to minimize it as much as we can because breakdown can be such a bitch. Now, breakdown might be a beach, but there is some positives to it. When you recover from a breakdown and do a break recover, your entire team's stress, they will go down and your max HP will also be restored. And when a character heals from breakdown, their ego skill, their ult, will be greatly reduced. A 7 cost card will cost 2, for example. And I would say, if you're confused about anything, going to this help book is kinda good. See, it also tells you about the anticipated action. You will have an icon underneath an enemy and it will tell you what the enemy is about to do. So everybody, that's my 10 best tips on how to succeed and prepare for victory in Chaos Zero Nightmare. Of course, you don't need to take my advice and play the game however you want, although this is what I am incorporating in my account, my gameplay, to get the best benefit and the best return of investment of my resources and my time. And a bonus tip, number 11. Have fun. I cannot stress this enough. Disregard tier lists to some extent, and instead play the characters that you find fun, and some of my greatest fun in this game have been of trying to figure out cool non-meta teams that nobody is talking about. My favorite one so far is Magna and Amir, usually paired together with Amaika. So experience, have fun, and all of the characters, they kinda synergize with each other to some extent, and the runs are so vastly different and your cards will be transformed. So what I'm trying to say, experiment, have fun, don't just go for the best. Don't forget to have fun. Oh, you know what? Let's do one more final tip. Every character you can build affinity with. We can build affinity in a few ways. The most common way is to go to Arc City and then find whatever character you want to increase relationship with, and then you spend time with them. Every day you will get 3 new tickets that can be used to spend time with the character. Now be aware that these tickets are also the same tickets that are being used to get characters out of the psychotherapy section if you die and fail a run. So if you fail a chaos run, for example, some or all of your characters will end up in here and you need to break them out. If you don't really care about saving the save state of them, you can use delete their memories and move on. But if you want the save state, well, then you're gonna need some counseling. You can also bypass the need for a ticket by paying, I think it is 30 crystals. And while we're here, also always remember to every day drink some coffee. Every day you will be able to get 80 energy for free. in the coffee shop, and always do that. And while you're here, also maybe pet the cats. Building Affinity with characters will award them like more stats, so like don't neglect doing this on your main units. And also every day you will have some policies to go through, and every week you will kind of get a new goal on kind of what you need your grades to be. If you see the little marker here, well, you kind of want policies that will help you reach past the marker, because that will give you better rewards. Doing this, you will also be able to uncover some missions, some extra missions that give you some extra rewards. And final, last extra, if you want to spend money in the game, your best return on investment is the daily login pass, and after that, the battle pass. Battle pass includes a lot of good resources to level up, but you also get some really good partners at level 30. Of course, spend with moderation, etc. yada yada. Everybody, hope you found this useful. If you have any additional tips for your fellow community members, slap it down in the comment. The game is brand new, a lot of people are trying to find their footing, and I'm sure that you picked up like a lot of stuff that I haven't thought about talking about, so slap your knowledge down in the comments. Everybody, as always, have a big hug. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you like more Chaos Zero content or gacha content in general. Everybody, stay safe. Until next time, Hako out.